Hello and welcome to ShameOver, where you can lose the hangover, not the booze. I'm your host, Erica Mallery, and this is a podcast for those interested in moderation and drinking less, and who want to find peace and balance in their consumption. I am on this journey with you, and I am proof that you can drink less without going cold turkey or all out sober. If this sounds good to you, let's get started. All right, welcome back to the final part of my conversation with Terry. In part one, we talked about the signs of perimenopause that so many women miss, myself included. This is from anxiety and brain fog to rage, overwhelm, and feeling completely unlike yourself, or what I thought was just normal for having two young children. So today, what we're actually talking about is what will help. If you've been wondering how to feel better, have more energy, sleep more soundly, and support your body through this season of life, then Terry is sharing the biggest changes that made the difference for her. So we're talking strength training, protein, alcohol, sleep, and why awareness is often the first step towards transformation. Let's jump in. So I know that as we're going through this process, once you find out that, you are perimenopause or, anything along those lines, you can jump into HRT. There's other things. What are some of the things that you really focus on that help people? So now I know this is where I'm at. What's next? Or I've been in this for a while. I still feel like shit all day, every day. What can I start doing? I know you've mentioned a few things, but let's really dive in.
Yeah, so 100% start lifting weights. There's no better medication. There's no HRT that's going to give you the effects that strength training is going to give you. I don't really give a rat's poop if you've never done it before. I had never done it before and I started, I didn't even know what a dumbbell was, okay? So if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, talk about a complete beginner. I did not know what macros were. I thought that was an Excel spreadsheet kind of thing when I started. Okay. I didn't know anything and I learned because it mattered. It was important. It was the way out. Right. And so I hear a lot of excuses and a lot of reasons. I don't have time. It's too hard. I'm going to hurt myself. I don't know what to do. But you can figure it out. Okay. Ask for help. I had to ask for help. I hired a coach. They helped me. I learned. And now it's second nature, right? So it's a non-negotiable. If you're in midlife and you're not doing strength training, you're doing yourself a great disservice. That's number one. The science is out there. The evidence is there. All the data is out there.
Well, and that not only helps get through some of these symptoms and regulate your body a little bit, but it is so much more long-term as far as like osteoporosis and how you're going to age. But on the note that you were saying, get help, ask for help. Even the most affordable gyms still have trainers or people there that can help make sure you have the correct form so that you don't get injured. Because the worst thing you can do is go way too hard, having no clue what you're doing, getting yourself hurt, and then never wanting to touch it again. So, I mean, even it's funny, my grandma, who is, I believe, approaching 90, she had a fall a year or two ago that, I mean, this should have put her out. Like, she had to crawl across her house to get her phone that was up on the counter or whatever, because she had fallen, broke her hip and her shoulder or something crazy. But I found this out as she was going through her rehab. She has 2-pound weights that she does every day. And I would never know that, but that is what allowed her to do that, because she had been keeping up with just basic little mechanics and strength training, even with these tiny little weights. So to your point, anyone can do it. And it doesn't have to be, you need to go out and buy 20 and 50-pound weights. Like the small weights that you can even get on Amazon or at Target, Walmart, anything, those are great to have just at home to get started.
Yes, exactly. And you build upon that, right? So over time, you build on that, and hopefully it's something that, sticks with you for life. Second thing is nutrition, right? So get your nutrition in order. No matter how much HRT you take, no matter how much other stuff you take, if your nutrition is not on point, you cannot out-train your mouth. You cannot out-train any of that, right? So the food matters. How much protein, how many carbs, how much fat you eat per day, and what their proportion is matters, right? So the goal when it comes to longevity and feeling good and having enough fuel, because that's what food is, having enough fuel in your body to sustain your perimenopausal phase is important, right? So having the right nutrition and the right raw ingredients where your body can make testosterone out of that, right? It can function properly. You want to have it dialed in. You really do. It's a disservice again to yourself to not have or not invest in nutritional literacy. And again, there's lots of coaches out there. I'm a coach myself now because it changed my life. It was just a Herculean effect. It had a
Yes.
Herculean effect on my life and how much better my life became once I had those two things in order. Then substances, okay, alcohol, right? How much alcohol are you drinking?
Mm.
There are people, I'm not going to be very specific, that I see that claim the wellness hat and the enlightenment path. And, I'm not going to get into that are drinking one or two bottles of alcohol, wine, box wine, whatever they sell at the grocery store
Mhm.
every night. And they don't understand that that is a toxic poison, literally, that they are consuming on a daily basis. And then they get up the next day and they wonder, why do I feel like shit? Why?
Mm.
Oh, I feel like shit. Yeah. I mean, it's obvious, right? But we're in denial. So when I was 80 pounds overweight, binging and drinking alcohol, I was in denial, right?
Mhm.
It took somebody being super direct with me and telling me, hello, this is your problem right here. So if you're doing that, just think about it. Be curious. Why do you need that? And what is the reason behind it? And what's the underlying cause that's making you feel that you need to drink so much alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So that's the third thing. And then once you've cleaned up the house, HRT can help you, right? But HRT is not a band-aid for a shitty lifestyle, in my opinion.
Exactly. And it takes a full throttle approach as opposed to just one magic thing that's going to cure everything. Absolutely. So,
You can be taking HRT and still feel like shit.
yeah, absolutely. So diving into the nutrition part, because I know you're really, really educated on this. I know myself personally, I tried so hard to get into macros. I could not figure it out. So I just said, screw it. And, obviously I figured out since what has worked for me. But I know that since I tried it and between now and then, a lot of coaches have made it a lot easier for people to understand it. So as far as like just getting started, what would you recommend so that discovering your macros and figuring out what's a good day for you, what that looks like isn't so overwhelming and time consuming and all of that?
Yeah, it's funny because I had the very similar conversation with my daughter who's 19
Mm.
yesterday. And she was sitting next to me. And she goes, Mom, I don't understand why people think it's so hard to get 150 grams of protein a day. It's so easy, she says to me. I'm like, well, it's easy because you've watching me do it for 10 years and now
Yeah,
she does it, right? So she wants
totally.
to
Yeah.
make sure she's got her muscles, developing. She goes to the gym every day and all these things. Like, I'm like, because you've been doing it for long enough time. Now, the what I recommend for most people when they're first starting out is the first step is get the lay of the land first. Okay. Because if you are used to eating 50 grams of protein per day and you've been living that way for years, a coach coming in and telling you you need to eat your body weight in protein per grams, that's going to be so far off your baseline that it's going to be impossible. Right. So that's not going to work out too well.
Sure.
You're going to give up because it's going to feel undoable, unmanageable, unachievable. Right. And so find out where you're at first. What is the baseline? Are we eating 100 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 100 grams of fat every day? Right. That's not a balanced macro right now. Or are we at 50, 300, and 300, right? Because I've seen that. Or are we at 200 grams of protein and no carbs and no fat, right? Which is keto, or keto has more fat. But where are we at, right? So be really honest. Alcohol counts,
Mhm.
right? As a macro, it has 7 calories per gram, almost as much as fat. So count all the alcohol, count your creamers, your milks in your coffees, your lattes, your Starbucks, your lip licks and bites, and all those things count at the end of the day, and figure out how many calories per day are you at on average, right? So if you track for 14 days and one day you ate I've seen this also, so that's why I mention it. Some days, 700 calories. Next day, 4,000 calories. Next day, 5 calories. Next day, 1,400 calories, right? So where there's no consistency in the caloric intake, right? So that's why we track 7 to 14 days to get the lay of the land, get the
True.
terrain first, know what the heck you're working with, and
Mhm.
divide that by however many days you track. So if you track 14 days, add up all the calories, the calorie total divided by 14. That's your average caloric intake per day, right? So that's what you're taking in every 2 weeks, for example, and see if you could figure out in general what your average protein intake is per day, right? So if you're averaging about 60 grams of protein per day, somebody telling you to eat 160 grams of protein per day is not going to happen. And so from there, start escalating just a little bit. Add 10% more every week and now try to eat 60 grams or, 55, 60, 70, slowly and progressively start adding more protein and cutting other things around, figuring out your alcohol, total calories, alcohol. I mean, it sounds complicated, but it's really not when you focus on it step by step by step so that you can incrementally get to where you need to go. See, the way that I would look at it is if I went to the gym and I've never lifted weights before, and somebody says, go over there and do a 200-pound deadlift, it's
Can't
not happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's more than my body weight, and what's a deadlift?
And it's the same thing with your nutrition, right? So
Yep.
you have to start where you're at. You can't aim for something unachievable because you're just not going to do it. Not going to
Yeah,
happen.
and I love that approach because I know that that's not always the approach with coaches as far as especially diets. It's like, "This is what you have to do. We're gonna jump right in." I found based on my work that approach doesn't work very often for some, sure. But for the majority of us, we need that slow approach. I mean, I do the same thing when anyone starts working with me as far as I need to know what your baseline is. And you, most of all, need to know what your baseline is. Like, how many days a week are we drinking? How many drinks are we having per day or per week? So that you know realistically where you're even starting out because you can't make the adjustments if you're not honest with yourself about the starting point. And I think
Mhm.
that can be the hardest thing with diet, with alcohol, with anything, because we have so much shame tied to it. Because, in our minds, we should know better than this, but I don't want to face the facts. So I'm just going to push it to the side.
And yeah, denial. I mean, I was in denial for, oh my gosh, 40 years. I was sleeping beauty until I was 40. I mean, talk about, I should be ashamed of that, right? And so, like, I get a lot of people, right, thinking, oh, it's so taboo to talk about the things I talk about. But that
Yeah.
is actually
That's
shining a
why we need
light
to
on
be
the
talking about
shame.
it because
Yes.
people feel it's taboo. It's not. This is what we're all dealing with. We just don't talk about it. So it feels so either shameful or, like you said, denial for sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, you're raised to kind of put up this glass, you know, castle image.
Yeah.
I have to be perfect and everything, or nobody's going to like me, or, I can't show all parts of myself out to people because no one's going to take me seriously, or, putting on this mask, for so many years in the corporate world, like I'm a professional woman. I don't have a personality. Like, fuck that. Like, embrace it all.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, I'm going to openly talk about alcohol. It's a really big part of my life. It affected me very early on, almost at birth. It affected my mother. It affected my biological father. There's a lot of heartache and a lot of pain that came from alcohol. My mother divorced my father because of his alcoholism, and I did not see him ever again after the age of 3. I've inherited the alcohol gene. I've passed, I'm sure, the alcohol gene over to my kids. And so there's a lot of shame around alcohol and a lot of fear. And so I talk about it openly. I share it. There's nothing I can do about that, right? That's a part of who I am and something I have to keep in mind at all times that it is genetic. I do have it. I definitely have the alcoholic gene, but that does not mean I have to fall victim to the behavior that leads to the outcome that I know can
Exactly.
happen. It can happen to the smartest, most intelligent, most successful people,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Uh, And the more shame we put around it, the stronger it becomes,
Yes.
right? So when you're ashamed of what you're eating and you're hiding it, you're just making that monster strong. You're
Exactly.
the less you acknowledge it, this the way, every day I wake up and I wave to all my boogie monsters. Hi, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
How's it going? And
But
that
that's just it.
keeps,
Acknowledging them makes them so much smaller. Like, they're just being big and scary because they're trying to get your attention. They're trying to bring something to light that you're refusing to acknowledge. So
that's
when you
right.
do acknowledge it, they're like, okay, cool. I don't need to remind you about this.
They get happier when you
Yeah.
acknowledge them. All the boogie monsters are happy. They feel fulfilled. They're not
Yep.
acting out. They don't need to show you that they exist because you already know they're there.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some, because I've for years been focused on protein, protein, protein. And I know especially for women, as not only we're in this stage, but as we're getting older, protein is kind of the biggest thing, protein and probably fiber, but really focusing on anytime I put something in my mouth, does it have protein in it? So what are some like quick wins, if you will, for easy ways to start getting more protein into your diet without it feeling, like you said, like this overwhelming, unrealistic, I can't do that.
Yeah. So I am a big advocate of as little synthetic food as possible. So,
Yep.
but in the beginning, sometimes you need that.
Sure.
And so you can always supplement and, boost the protein content of yogurt, for example. As yogurt is so easy to eat, right? It's smooth. It tastes like you can even make ice cream out of that. And it just goes down easy, right? So if you're not like really into eating a lot of animal protein,
Mhm.
yogurt is very easy. And I'll tell you guys another funny story. So when I started doing this, I had a really hard time getting all my protein in, just like everybody does in the beginning. And I had a crazy sweet tooth, right? So I was cutting, I went cold turkey on all the alcohol, don't drink anything. So the sugar cravings were crazy.
Huge. Yeah.
And so 3 out of 5 of my meals were desserts. So I ate 5 little meals every day and they added up to all my calories and my total protein goals and all that. It was all very intentional. And I'd make 3 of them were desserts. So you can get your protein in that way. Okay. So you can have a yogurt parfait, right? So Greek yogurt with a little bit of boosted protein powder or PB2 peanut butter powder. It has protein. And there you go. You're done. That's like 28 grams of protein right there. Next up, you can make protein brownies. Okay. You could put the brownies on some cottage cheese, and there you go. That's your another one, 25 grams of protein right there. And another one that's really easy is the creamy ninja ice creams. So I've
Yeah.
never heard of it. Just Google Ninja Creamy and ice cream machine. And that is again, it tastes like ice cream. You can have your protein and ice cream too.
Yeah. Totally. I know my kids are right now gluten and dairy free. So getting enough protein in them, since we don't have the ability to use the yogurt, which they used to love, and things like that. One thing that I didn't realize had so much protein in it, but has been so helpful for us is edamame. Like
Yeah.
edamame
Hmm.
has been huge. So getting that in because, you can only eat so much meat at the end of the day. So finding other options that there are for that big protein boost.
Edamame, cauliflower, broccoli, very, very good for your hormones as well.
Okay.
Chickpeas, any kind of beans, lentils, tofu is vegetarian, very easy to get the protein in. Falafel is another great
Yes.
option. It's gluten free, I believe. And yeah, I mean, there's just so much out there, so many options out there. They have a lot of dairy free yogurts now as well.
Thank God.
So it still has the same consistency, you know, like cashew yogurt. They have all kinds of yogurts now that you could just add a little boosted protein powder into that and, get the protein up. But nutritional yeast is another one that it has
Hmm.
a lot of protein in it. You can sprinkle that on anything and gives you like a little crunchy kind of feeling, very high protein content. So many options out there. I mean, it's almost limitless now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I know that I'd say the 3 biggest things to do that you've touched on has been obviously the weightlifting and just, working on your physical side of things, the nutrition part of it, and then we all know sleep. And so let's dive into sleep real fast because I know that, especially as you had mentioned, that's one of the main things that a lot of women see that, oh, I'm in perimenopause or even, in menopause is my sleep sucks. I either can't fall asleep or I wake up and can't fall back asleep. I don't wake up feeling refreshed or well rested. So, what are some of your ideas or thoughts around sleep and sleep hygiene?
So there's a ton of products out there that are for sleep, but
Mhm.
I'll tell you two of my favorites. So CBD, totally in favor of that. There are CBN and CBD strains that can help you fall and stay asleep. Another one is magnesium and mushroom combinations drinks. So mushrooms specifically made for sleep. So they have hot chocolate options out there you can purchase from all kinds of different companies that also may include CBD and magnesium. And so there's different options for magnesium. Also try different ones, see which one is going to work for you. But don't sleep on your sleep, okay?
Yes.
That's very important. It's almost number one as
Yes,
far
if you
as
don't get
feeling
good
better.
quality sleep, you're no matter how well you're eating, how much you're working out, you're not gonna get the benefits fully from either of those if your sleep sucks. And I know you brought this up previously, but I cannot tell you how many people tell me, like, they drink to sleep. I'm like, "But you're not sleeping." Like, if you need drink to fall asleep, it's not helping your sleep. You're actually not able to reach the REM sleep that you need, and so you're not getting what your body actually needs to repair and to feel better the next day. But it's this vicious cycle that I don't sleep unless I have a drink or have something to drink. It's not normally one drink, as we know. So magnesium has been huge for me. And like you said, you need to find which magnesium works for you because they're not all the same and we're going to feel things differently. But I guess anything else there as far as sleep that really stands out, especially if alcohol is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't remember the exact because I'm not an expert in the glymphatic system, which
Mhm.
is the brain's lymphatic system. But they've done studies, and don't quote me, you guys can research this and Google it, and you'll find the information. But they say that if you consume alcohol, you're actually get less REM sleep, which
Yep.
is required. So for the glymphatic, let me see if I get this right. For the glymphatic system to fully flush out the brain's byproduct of functioning from the day before, it needs, I believe, 2 hours of REM sleep. And they've done studies on the brain where when you're people that have had alcohol, they get maybe 30% of that time.
Yeah,
And
if
so
that.
yeah. And so their glymphatic system only gets half flushed out. And so the byproduct starts to accumulate over time. So now imagine if you're drinking alcohol every single night to fall asleep, it
Mhm.
knocks you out, but your brain does not actually get into REM, which is when the glymphatic system flushes out byproducts. So now you're accumulating garbage,
Yep.
literally
Mhm.
byproduct of your brain in there. And think about it as a house. So if you don't clean your house or only clean your house 30% and then, you keep adding more garbage in there, what's going to happen? Right? There's going to be no room for you. You're not going to function properly. You're not going to be able to get from room to room. You're not going to remember things. You're not going to know where things are. Like, where was that thing? Who knows? There's a lot of garbage everywhere. That's what's going on in your brain. Okay. And over time, they are correlating Alzheimer's
Mhm.
to not getting good quality sleep. So that's what you're playing with, everybody that's
Exactly.
listening.
Yes.
That's the roulette.
I'm so glad you brought that up. There's at least 1 or 2 fantastic Huberman podcast episodes that taught me so much on this whole thing. So, if you've not listened, highly recommend checking that out or going back to it if you have already listened because it's just invaluable information right there. So,
Mhm.
well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that we did not get to touch on that you want to share? Otherwise, obviously, how can people find you and connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, so you can find me on thehouseofrose.com or on my Instagram, How Good Can It Get? And thank you, Erica, for having me on. It was a pleasure. I had a great time. It was such a good conversation.
Amazing. Thank you. I'll make sure to put those in the show notes. So if you obviously need to access it, go ahead and go there. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much, Terry, for being here. And can't wait to hopefully chat more down the line.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for everything that you do.
You too. Thank you. I just love this conversation because it reminds us that there is no magic fix. There's not a supplement, not a diet, not a hormone, not a glass of wine. At the end of the day, real change happens when we start paying attention to what our bodies have been trying to tell us all along. So whether it's your sleep, your nutrition, your stress levels, your hormones, your relationship with alcohol, awareness is what creates options. And once you have options, you can start making choices that actually support the life and the health that you want. A huge thank you to Terry for joining me and sharing her story and her expertise. And if this episode resonated with you, please, please, please share it with a friend, leave a review, make sure you're following the podcast so you never miss an episode. And until next time, cheers. Okay, before I let you go, one quick thing. So if you've been listening and thinking, okay, but what's actually going on with me and my drinking? I built a free quiz exactly for that. It's literally less than 2 minutes, no email spam, no shame, and you will not get the "you have a drinking problem, never drink again" nonsense. Not for me. So you just answer a few questions and you'll get your actual pattern that you may or may not be aware of. Like, are you a stress drinker, a social drinker, on the edge of being sobriety curious? Whatever it is, you'll know. It's at shameover.me/quiz. It's super easy to remember. Again, shameover.me/quiz. Go take it right now, actually. Like, pause this, go do it, come back. I'll wait. Okay. That's it for today. See you next time. ShameOver is the mindful drinking program designed for women who desire to drink less without losing the booze completely. If you want to transform your relationship with alcohol and live a healthier, confident, and balanced life, go to shameover.me and get started today. You deserve it, you're worth it, your future self thanks you. Cheers!